And here we are. We are live. Hello, everybody. I am Dave. And tonight's chat, I am joined by Sportsman Z. Welcome to the chat.
Thanks, Dave. Happy to be here.
So, you have a YouTube channel called Sportsman Z, right?
Right.
That's how we can find you. And I enjoy watching you do some of the games on there. You do a lot of the same things that we do to Sports Sims games. One
Right.
thing I noticed right off the bat, one thing I noticed that I thought was really neat is you play. I don't want to say I don't know what percentage, but you play a lot of games in basic mode. And I
Yes.
and I and I like that. I like that because
Mhm.
a lot of guys you tune in and it's like the super ultra maximum whoop-de-doo mode, and
Right.
you will play games in basic mode. And I like so talk a little bit about, you playing games in basic mode.
Well, for one thing, I think basic, like with especially with the basic version, when you're trying to put that into a video, it's quicker. It goes a lot faster, and I think that that's a key for people that watch. Watch or listen to you. Sometimes people don't have a lot of time, and they don't want to spend an hour or an hour and
Right.
10 minutes listening or watching a baseball. Watching me play a baseball game. And the basic version, I can play that in like, 25,
Oh,
26,
it's
even 30
fast.
minutes.
Yeah, basic versions are great for that.
And yeah, and really the basic, I mean, when I was a kid, when I first bought Stratomatic, I I played the basic version exclusively and never really learned the advanced version. And I think I just got into a habit where that's how I wanted to keep playing. I didn't really have a desire to go to the advanced version. Um, and I think with the basic version, I think if you played an entire season of Stratomatic baseball, I think basic versus advanced, I think they would both just come out in the wash, and it would the
That
the statistics.
that's an interesting take on that, I
Yeah,
mean, it would be interesting to like you said, to play an entire season in basic and then an entire season maybe in a more advanced mode to compare the results. Because I personally think basic gets a bad rap.
yeah, yeah.
I
It
think
does.
because it's basic and it's kind of like just bottom of the barrel, get you up and running type of thing. Not all the whoop de do. So it's a generic version of the game, if you will. Just I'm trying to find the word that I'm looking for, but it's if you want to play the real game, you need to play advanced or master or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people look at it. Now, I will say if you're talking about a series or you're talking about like a short, like maybe 20 games or something, you're probably going to get more realistic results for that group of games with the advanced version versus the basic. But I think over the longer span you play, the more games you play, I think you're going to the results are going to kind of just even out, and it's going to be just as you would find. I
Yeah.
think that it would be just as accurate statistically.
I think the mentality might come from if you play a quick play game where you roll a couple of dice and you get the final score. So there's the quick play game, and then maybe you play a medium play game, and then you have the full game. And I'm kind of thinking maybe even football at this point. So you play, like a Downey quick play game of football. You roll the dice, you get the final score, whatever it is. And then if
Right.
you were to play a medium type of game, like maybe like a Second Season Express or something like that, or maybe one of the Downey games that's medium play. But if you play the actual play by play football game, you see everything happen in the game. You get your full stats.
Mhm.
It's interesting to see, what the final score would be between all three of those. You
Yes,
know,
it would. It would. You're right.
yeah. Maybe that's a project for another day. Is to try that out. Is to do the quick play, do the medium play, and then do the long play.
Yeah, yeah. I thought of the idea of because you one game that I do play is Back to Basics baseball. I
Okay.
like that, but I've never seen. I don't think I've ever heard or seen anybody comment on like whether they've played an entire season of Back to Basics
Hmm.
and how accurate they think it might be. And so I was thinking of the idea of maybe trying to play a season, and maybe like one of the older seasons where there was only 9, like there was only 8, maybe 8 teams in the American League, 8 teams
Right.
in the National League.
Mhm.
Maybe play one league or the other, play the schedule and back to basics and see how accurate it is. Because I would really like to know how accurate that game ends up being.
I one time did the entire 1970-71 hockey season. Okay.
Mhm,
And I did it using Downey's Final Score hockey. And it's just final score. Okay.
mhm,
And I remember it took me a couple of weeks. I laid out the schedule, and then I did like the matchups. So what I did is I wrote down all the games, and then I did the offense versus the defense plus the home ice, and I got their final ratings, and then you roll on the final rating. So I would get, a couple of weeks of the schedule ready to roll, so to speak. And then I would
mhm.
sit on the table and I'd roll, and get all my scores. So I did it in stages, is what I did. I think I would do like a month at a time in stages. I'll prep it, then roll it, prep it, and then
Mhm,
roll it. And
mhm.
at the end of the final score game, again, this is just final score. This is no personal stats. I think I almost hit the standings exact.
Yeah.
There was a team in the West. I think in the West, I think St. Louis and Pittsburgh might have been flipped, or Minnesota, Pittsburgh were flipped, but everything in the East was pretty close. Again, I think the 5 out of the 6 were right. Maybe, like I said, maybe middle of the package flipped. Bruins ended up going all the way and winning the cup, which they should have, but they ran into Ken Dryden in that year, and Ken Dryden, I just didn't factor in on that at all in the quick play. But Ron and I actually sat down and looked at all the stats. As
Mhm.
Larry Harris jumped in. Hi, Larry. Good to see you. And a couple of teams, I hit their goals against, the goals for dead on,
Yeah.
like
That's good.
341, whatever it was. And
Right.
we went down team by team by team. And this is a quick play game by Downey. This is not, like I said, this is quick play. And
Mhm.
you'd be amazed at how close I came to. I hit
Yeah.
some final scores of the game exact, because I would check the final scores. I hit some exact. At the end of the season, the standings were pretty darn close, and even goals against and goals for. Holy cow! Some I hit spot on, some were off by 1 or 2. I think there was one, maybe it was like a Vancouver or something like that, had like overachieved by 10 points, but that's a
Yeah.
final score quick roll game, and I came almost dead on with that.
Yeah. And I know you guys, you and Ron have talked maybe a little bit about this on Digital the Dice, but the fact that you want so much realism, but you don't, but it's not that big of a deal if it, like, things aren't dead on, because if everything came out exactly, then
Why play?
what would be the point of replaying it?
Right, right.
But you just want to make sure that there aren't people that are just the guys that just way overperform, or they do way worse than they actually did. But if as long as everybody's right in a certain ballpark area for statistics, then
Yeah.
you've got a good replay mechanism in the game.
Now, how forgiving are you with that? And I want to preface that by saying I just picked up Strat PC Baseball, and I love it, by the way. I really do.
Mhm.
I like it more than I thought I would. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I can't stop playing it. I like how it just plays fast. It's quick. I got it all customized. I went through the whole thing on the show. But I'm playing 1986 with Roger Clemens,
Mhm.
and he was 24-4 in real life.
Right.
Okay. In my replay, I think he's 14-14 right now, give or
Yeah.
take a game. So he is getting destroyed in my replay. I mean, in fact, he's given up a home run every game. He gave up 21 total home runs all season, and he's got to be at 23 or 24, and he's still got several games to go. He's just getting lit up. Boston,
Yeah.
who went to the World Series in '86, if you remember, they're
Right.
22 games out of first place.
Whoa. Well, yeah,
So,
that's
so
kind of
now, to be fair, all the I streamed quite a bit of the Clemens games, and some I rolled my own dice, and some I let the computer do it. So someone asked me, I think it was Sports Time Machine. He says, "I think you're playing the game wrong," and I was like, "I am streaming the games, not all, but
mhm,
most of them.
mhm.
Go back and take a look to see if I am indeed playing it wrong. But if I roll the dice and I punch in what I got, I mean that's what's happening, right? I mean I don't know how
Right.
he can mess that up." And so,
Right.
how do you feel about that? So I'm not mad by any means. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the heck out of the replay. I think it's funny that he's
Mhm.
getting destroyed to a point where I kind of make a joke of it. He played the Yankees. He gave up 5 home runs in the first few innings against the Yankees, and I
Yeah.
just kind of laughed it off. But how forgiving are you if you were to run in a situation where I get a guy that's 24-4 in real life, and he's 14-14, and they're 22 games out of the World Series team is 22 games out of first place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, you've got I think 2 sets of stats you should consider. You got the win-loss record for Clemens, and then you've got his statistics.
Mhm.
But it sounds to me like you're saying even his personal statistics, his pitching statistics, are really worse than they were in real life. But the win-loss record, there's a lot that's circumstantial about the win-loss record. You could have Clemens pitch close to what he actually did, but lose maybe 5 or 6 more games than he actually did based on how Boston did in the games that he pitched. But I would ask, in the games, so you play the Clemens games, but you have the computer simulate the other games, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And the other teams, because like in Stratomatic, you can put in to have the other teams or the other teams computer manager files made by the computer.
Okay.
But there are instances where the computer will make a very bad computer manager for the other teams. Like he'll do, I've seen stuff where, remember with the Twins, Kirby Puckett?
Mhm.
I I saw a computer manager file that a computer made for the Twins, and he had Puckett platooning. So sometimes sometimes a
Okay.
computer will do things like that, and you need to go back through the other teams and do like a sanity check on them and make sure that
I see. Okay.
yeah, that he's not making something. And and then you also want to try to control the overuse on the other teams, because you might have a guy that didn't play nearly as much
Mhm.
as he is in your simulation, and was a lot better than he should be for that reason. So there could be reasons for why Boston is doing as poorly in your simulation as they are.
I thought it was a little out of whack. I mean, again, you're talking about the team. I don't know where they finished that year, if they finished first or second, how they did anything to play. I forget back then. I think they had to win. It was just there was no wild cards back in '86, right? Was there?
I I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't think there was.
I think they just went and played California, and
Yeah,
they ended up rallying to come back and beat them in the series. I do remember that. But
right.
yeah, it's just weird that they were 20. Well, I won 3 in a row, so I think I was only down by 20 games now.
Yeah.
But again, if Clemens had his real record, that's a 10-game swing pretty much. So I mean, maybe I would be closer to the top at that point. Um,
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
so
Um,
okay, and the phrase says there were no wild cards in '86. Okay, okay, and
yeah.
that's confirmed by Larry. Okay. So that was just the division winner takes it all and goes. So they won the division, and they were almost in dead last for the longest time. It's just kind of how it worked out. Now, I think that's a pretty big swing. I'm not crucifying the game. I don't think the game stinks. You know what I mean? I think it's
Right.
just kind of how it goes. And again, Ron says all the time, once you roll the dice, real life is out the window now, because now
Yeah.
you can't expect the same result. And I know that the percentages are there to protect, the integrity of the whole bit. But again,
Right.
I was rolling just everything was off the batter card. And it was nothing was off the Clemens card. And I'd be like, man, how many more 1, 2, 3s can I roll here in Strat baseball? And it's
Right.
like Clemens is just sitting back, just getting lit up. And so that can happen. But and I always go back to this is Ron played a football replay one time. And one of the teams that made the playoffs did not make the playoffs. I think it was Kansas City.
Hmm.
And he went back and at first he was like, wow, this is weird. But then he went back and he realized that Kansas City won, I think it was, he said 4 or 5 games by a point or two.
Yeah.
So if they had lost those 4 or 5 games by a point or two, then that record falls right in line to what he had. So that's the other thing you can't really,
Right. Right.
if you got a team that just barely won a bunch of games, well, what if they just barely lost those games in your replay?
Yeah. I mean, there was I think it was the Orioles of a few years ago, 2017 maybe, that they won. I think they won like 20 games by 1 run. So if you were to go back and simulate that, and I think they made the playoffs and they got eliminated quickly in like the 1 game wild card playoff or something. But if you went back and simulated that season, there's a very good chance that the Orioles wouldn't even come close to making the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. And it's the same thing with I always play the 76 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, I love playing them. I grew up loving that logo and the orange. It just was my team. I think the 0-14 and then 2-12 the next season kind of played into the aura of that for me, just being a bad team. You just couldn't help but love them.
Right.
But I grew up, in 4th and 5th grade watching those teams, and just that was just my team, and I kind of stuck with them the whole way. And I'm still a Tampa Bay fan to a point. When they changed jerseys, I kind of lost a little bit of the love because I do like the orange ones and the whole bit. I know why they changed in the whole bit, but even that team there, as I learn about them later in the season, they were decimated with injuries and they got smoked. But early on, they could have won 3 or 4 games that season. You look at the scoreboard, they almost beat Miami. They almost beat Seattle. And I think it was it Kansas City or somebody else? They almost won a few of those games. They just couldn't score. Their offense was pitiful, but their defense kept them in games. And so that 0-14 wasn't a 42-0 loss every week.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's, something that you would have to, take into account when you do a replay. That, there may have been games that were really close and a few penalties or a couple of fumbles. And if your replay doesn't have those fumbles or the replay doesn't have, as many penalties, then the team, could do better overall in the replay. But usually you do want to see it be within, like maybe if the Buccaneers, the 1 year that they won 2 games, maybe if they win 4, okay, that's the bounces went the right way or penalty. But you don't want to see the Buccaneers win 8 or 9 when they only won 2.
It's funny you say that. I won't mention the game. I quick simmed on a computer game, the Buccaneers season, and they went 8-8. And I won't say the game because I like the game and I like to play the game, but I simmed the 76 Buccaneers and they went 8-8, and I thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah. So there's maybe it may be something in the game engine or something if it's something like that. But you would like to see things come out somewhat close.
Now, one of my favorite products is I played the 76 Buccaneers and I played 6 or 7 different games. Okay, I did quick play games. I think I did the Mike Sealock 2-minute drill game. I did probably a final score. I did some of the other Downey games that I have. Fast drive. No, sorry, game-winning drive. Fast drive football wasn't out at the time. Game-winning drive. So I did some of the Downey games, and then I did a full play. I think fast drive football. I think so. I played many different ones, including quick ones and whatever. And they ended up beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gave them their worst beating, and they actually beat them. I think it was momentum football with Downey games. The Buccaneers beat the Steelers. Never should have happened. However, what I remember about rolling that game is, on momentum football, I think it's 11-66. The Buccaneers needed 11-16 to get any kind of scoring chance, and the Steelers had 16-30, 66 to score. I kept rolling sweet spot after sweet spot for Tampa Bay. In Pittsburgh, I rolled poorly. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, is this really happening? Am I rolling this many 11s and 12s for scores for Tampa Bay and this many 66s for Pittsburgh, which is turnovers? and it just
Right.
happened. I wish I had streamed that one and recorded that one because that would have been fantastic to see that play out. But they did
Yeah.
win. They did beat the Steelers, all legit like. And I'm not blaming the game. It's just those dice rolls in that game was unbelievable. It's like, wow, how is this even happening? So
Yeah.
it,
I
it is
mean, that can
possible.
happen. That can certainly things along those lines can certainly happen when you're rolling a game. So,
Yeah.
like Ron said, once the dice leave your hands,
Yeah.
all
Yep.
bets are off.
Yep. The
Yeah.
phrase says the 86 Red Sox only had a 98 run differential, so it's doubtful they would get to 95 wins in any simulation. And we talked to some of the game developers about things like that, and they said it's really hard to get those outlying teams carded properly. The 0-14 teams because they almost won some games, but they're 0-14, so it's hard to card them. When you got a team
Yeah.
that crushes everybody, it's hard to card them too because you don't want them going undefeated every time you play, but they should do really well. So the extremes on each end, we were told, are really difficult to card.
Right. And you got things like with Stratomatic. Stratomatic is a 50-50 game.
Yep.
It's off the pitcher or off the batter. And one of the things that Stratomatic I don't think can really account for accurately is someone like David Wells, who used to he pitched for the Yankees, Toronto. He would only walk maybe 20 guys the entire season. But you can't really simulate that for Stratomatic because if he, if it, depending on how often you roll on his card versus on the batter's card,
Right.
he's going to walk a lot more than 20
Mhm.
guys, and that's going to raise his earned run average probably a little bit above what it actually was. So
Right.
things
Good.
like that, it's hard for the game for Stratomatic at least to account for something like that.
So we might have some breaking news here. Larry's telling us that Tom Brady's coming out of retirement, and Brian's telling us that now Brady's not retiring. So, did he have a little chat with Giselle? Does she still want to go to some of the parties? Is she missing something here?
Yeah.
I thought it was silly that he retired. He after that loss, he brought that team back from the dead, and the D just let him go. But maybe he wants to go to one more team before he wraps it up. Who knows?
Yeah, I've seen speculation that he didn't want to go back to the Buccaneers, and that's why he said he was retiring.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. That's gonna be interesting. So let's talk more games here. Um, so what are some of your favorite sports, and what are some of the games you enjoy playing?
well, the three. I mean, I like the big threes. Out of well, I guess the big four if you included basketball. I don't like basketball.
Okay.
I'm not a big basketball guy, but I like hockey. I like baseball. I like football. Probably baseball and football are. I don't know. They're all really close, and they all have different aspects of the sport that appeal to me. And so, yeah, those three sports are my big three. And as far as the replay games that I do, Stratomatic, Back to Basics Baseball, Status Pro Baseball, um, and I do with Stratomatic. I do hockey, football, and baseball.
Hmm.
You got Back to Basics Baseball, you got Status Pro Baseball, and on the computer, I also like playing Out of the Park baseball. And
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I just got Out of the Park 22, and I'm really impressed with that. I think it's a lot. To me, it's a lot better than 21 was. I saw some people that were showing Out of the Park 21 or Out of the Park 22 before I bought it.
Hmm.
And I was thinking, well, I don't know if it's really that much different, but really the gameplay, the players, the player animation, and how the players are depicted was better. I like
I
it a lot.
saw. Was it your video that you had the view from behind the pitcher going to the plate, and then when they hit it, it
Yeah,
swapped?
yeah,
That
yeah,
was interesting.
yeah. And the players are like, the way they do the shadows and the players, how they kind of the animation of the players, the look of the players is a little better. In 21, it's really they're just cartoons. They're
Hmm.
just straight up cartoons. So they did it a little better with 22, and I'm really I like 22 a lot better than I thought I was going to like.
Okay. Do you? Let me see. How do I say this? Do you like playing the PC better than Cards and Dice, or Cards and Dice better than PC, or equal, or why do you play one or the other?
Uh, I would say um, it's probably equal for most of them. Stratomatic. I love playing the PC game, and I do like doing the cards and dice. Obviously, PC has advantages because you can play one team and take it through a season, and you've got the statistics
Right.
and the standings for all the other teams. If you do that, you try to do that yourself, cards and dice, it's going to take you a very, very long time to do it. So, um, that's one advantage that the PC has over it. But I even like playing the PC over that. And like you were saying the other day, you were talking about the hockey, playing the hockey, and how you learn the game by seeing what the card results are within the game. Whereas I just like to sit back and watch the game and watch it play out. I'm not concerned how they came up with the results that they came
Mm-hmm.
up. But yeah, I can see where that would help to learn the game and try to figure it out so that you could play the advanced version of hockey better than.
Yeah. I find that because I've been in the hockey my whole life, I pretty much played my whole life, whether it's street hockey or ice hockey or roller hockey. I mean, I never played at a high level beyond high school, but I broadcast hockey. I referee. I've done everything with hockey. I run leagues. So for
Mhm.
me, I probably get the least enjoyment out of the hockey games just because I'm so into the hockey that it's hard to duplicate a game.
Mhm.
Whereas I I haven't played baseball since I was a kid, or basketball, and I've never really played football aside from touch football. So when I
Mhm.
play those games, I don't have an intimate knowledge of the sport. So I can't be very critical with them. Whereas the hockey, especially with the video games like the NHL 21 or whatever it is on the PlayStation,
Mhm.
I find that I can't play a real hockey game with that because it's just I just can't. But
Yeah.
whereas baseball, I can just swing away and I just don't. I'm happy go lucky. Whereas I'm
Right.
very critical about hockey. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does definitely. But yeah, I mean, it's getting back to the PC versus the board game. The one thing I do, and people say this a lot. The board game gives you you can put the dice in your hands, you can put the
Mhm.
cards in your hands, you can look at the cards, and that there's something to be said for that. That is you're disconnected from when you're doing it on the PC. But like I say, they both have their advantages, they both have their disadvantages, and I think for me that makes them just about equal.
Mm. I find that there's some games I prefer playing cards and dice, and there's some games I prefer playing the PC. For example, the Strat baseball. I really do like playing the PC version of that because I sat reading the rule book about the advanced and the super advanced.
Mhm.
I honestly don't think I could play a game of Strat Super Advanced on my tabletop without investing ridiculous amounts of time. And if
Yeah.
I were to do that, if I gotta invest so much time in a game, and that learning curve goes like this for me,
Mhm.
I somewhere along this journey to the top, there's something else I can play that
Right.
I don't have to think so hard at. So for
Right.
me, I love the PC version of Strat baseball because the computer does all the heavy lifting. I follow along 80, 85, 90% of it. But there's some things that happen that it's like, I don't want to sit there and try to figure this out on my tabletop. I just don't want to. Where there's other games which are either a little more simple or basic or not quite as advanced as Strat, that I don't mind playing the cards and dice version and being challenged a little bit.
Yeah.
So I find that depending on the game, I might prefer this and sometimes I prefer that. It also depends too. I don't know about yourself, but on your mood. maybe you got a bad day at work, or the dog, chewed the cable on the TV or something like that, and you're just not in the mood to sit and lay out cards and dice. So you just kick your feet
Right.
up and play the PCs. That's what's great about that. You just pick up and go. And there's other times it's like, I have the wife's out of the house, the dog's sleeping. I'm setting up my table with my cards.
Hmm.
So you have the time for
Yeah.
that and you enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I do find the Strat baseball particularly is very relaxing, the computer version, playing the computer, because you can just bring up a game really quickly and you can play it really quickly, and you can just sit there and just say, swing
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
and just cruise right through the game, and it's very relaxing and it calms you down.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I think I streamed a double header the other night of the Clemens games on here on YouTube, and I get done, and it was, I don't know, 10:30, quarter of 11, 11 o'clock, and I was like, I'm not really ready for bed, and I ended up playing 4 more games.
Yeah.
So I think I played 6 games of Strat
Right.
baseball, and I wish I could play the hockey that fast, because I would love to do a full season replay of a team or something like that. The hockey, though, no matter how you slice it, and even the Strat football, it takes a lot longer to play than the baseball.
Yeah, on the computer and the card and dice
Yeah,
version, both
yeah.
take a lot longer than the baseball. Yeah, I did some
So
practice.
let's go back to something we talked about at the beginning of the show, because we got a bigger audience right now. We were talking about how you like to play the cards and dice on the table. You play a lot of basic. I saw you
Mhm.
playing the baseball basic,
Yeah.
the hockey basic for sure, and I think the football basic too, right?
Yep.
So
That's exactly
have
right.
you tried to go beyond basic and play advanced or super advanced in any of these games?
Yeah, I did. I tried the. I've got friends that I've known for years that play Stratomatic baseball, and I don't. They live out of state, so I only see them every once in a while. But when I do see them, they want to play the advanced version.
Hmm.
So I do play the advanced version with them. I tried to play an advanced baseball game for the channel, but I found that I was making so many mistakes and I was forgetting to do things, and it was just a complete mess. And I was only maybe in the fifth or sixth inning, and I'd already been doing it an hour or close to an hour. And I was like, I just can't do this. I'm gonna have to stick with basic. And
Mm,
and I think for definitely doing it on the channel, it's easier to do it basic. It's quicker. Um, at least for me, I'll make fewer mistakes,
right.
and that I think that makes it better for putting a game up on the channel.
Okay. Midlife Crisis says, before I discovered Action PC, I used to knock out 3 games of Strat and 2 cups of coffee in 45 minutes before work every day.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
can see how you do that. The Action PC plays pretty quick. I think the Strat plays a little bit quicker. Maybe because I have a lot of the things turned off, so it goes faster. Maybe with Action PC, you could just get results and not see the animation. Maybe that would work.
Hmm.
Glenn, what do you got? Will my old Colt, the 1986, work in the new version? I think you need to rebuy the season, because they remade the season. That's the
Yeah.
one quirk about Strat. If they put out a new version of the game and they remake a season, now your old code will work with the old version of Strat. It should, from what I
Yes, it
understand,
still
right?
should. It still, I would think it should.
So if
Yes.
you had last year's Strat and you had 86, you should be
Mhm.
fine. But if you bought 86 now, it will only work in the new game.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so that is okay. So he says, I understand if I don't own the season yet, I would need the new version, but that's not the case. I believe if you have the older version, that code should work with the older games. From what I understand about Strat PC
Yeah.
games.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
So once they make the new season, if you buy the new season, now you're locked into the new game, or
Right.
if they remake a season, I should say.
Right.
So I
And
see mid.
that's on this grouping where they had the 86 games available. I didn't get 86 because I have the 86 cards. I know that probably, you're in the new set of cards, you would have, 5 rated players, whereas the old 86 doesn't have 5 rated players. But for that, I didn't really think it was worth, um, buying the new version. So
Oh, oh, he
I
says,
didn't get the 86, but I do have the 47. I did get the 47 set.
okay.
Yeah.
So he says it works in the old game. Wonder if you would need to rebuy it. Yes, I think the answer is
Right.
yes. That you would need
Sure.
it could because they remade it and it's recalculated for the new version of the game. That yeah. Now, if you bought 85, which I don't believe was remade, then it would work fine.
Yeah.
So like I bought 77 and it works fine in the new game and
Mhm.
probably work fine in the old game as well.
Right.
And yeah, Pesky Paul says Strat gets expensive. We'll get to that in 1 second. We'll talk about that in 1 second. I'll get back to this one here. Midlife crisis. I've played Super Advanced for years, but with my 72 Carlton project, I went back to basics as an experiment, and my results have been fairly realistic. And that's one of the things that we were talking about right when we started up here is that
Yeah.
Sportsman Z was saying he feels like that he gets the results, he's satisfied with the results with basic, and then we talked about how it gets a bad rap because it's basic and well you don't have this and you don't have that, and it's almost feel like it's stripped down version of the game just to kind of get you playing it. But I mean, you're gonna get some decent. My first game of Strat Hockey, cards and dice, and I talk about this on the show. I played the Whalers and the Nordiques because while I was waiting for the game to come in and the seasons to come in that I bought, they
Mhm.
send you the doc files for the other teams. So I didn't have the best 16s, but I had the other teams come in, and I printed them out and I played a game on the table in basic, and it was one of my most memorable games I've ever played with Strat. It come
Yeah.
down to the end. Joe Sakic had a breakaway. He was robbed by the Hartford goalie, and I can't remember his name right now. But he made the save. They took the goalie out. Guy Lafleur got a rebound shot that would have tied the game on a 1-16, and I rolled an 18. And Quebec
Yeah.
lost the game. It was one of my most memorable games I ever played at Strat Hockey, and it was basic. It was the first game I played. It was basic mode.
Right. Yeah. And I know you've talked on the show before too about how it just depends on what gives you enjoyment. And if you get enjoyment from playing the basic game, then go ahead and play the basic game.
Right. No, I see where people do like the more advanced stuff because, I'll play some baseball games, and what I like about them is it tells you on the hit how many bases the runners go. Because that's where I get really confused and hung up. It's like, okay, it's a hit to the outfield. What do the base runners do? I got to go through the rules to figure out, okay, if it's hit to here and there's a guy here, then you got to figure out his speed and the runner's arm and the field is fit. It gets to be quite busy, trying to
Yeah.
figure out who gets where. So, in one sense, I like how it says, okay, all base runners move one base, that's it, or two bases, that's it. So, in some way, I do like that. But at other times, I'm like, man, I got a fast runner here on second, and I got a single, and it's one base. He,
Yeah.
I'd like to get him the score. You know what I mean? So on the other hand, I like how simple it can be, but sometimes you want that extra squeeze. You want to feel like it's really a game, and I know that in your own mind you can say maybe it was a line shot that dropped right at the feet of the outfielder, so the guy had to hold up and he couldn't take. So anything could have happened, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
I get that's possible, but you would think in normal gameplay that nobody would advance on that play. But then you got to check arms and fielders and speed, and it can get quite busy to get that result.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
So,
do sometimes I use like when I do my my basic strat um baseball, card and dice, I will pull in elements of the advanced game. Like I'll use the outfielder's throwing arm uh, for advancement on base, on bases sometimes. So it's kind of like a house rule kind of mixing
mhm,
a little bit. So, and you can do that too. I mean, it's whatever you tailor the game to be the way you want it to be.
right, and that's the great thing about playing on the table with cards and dice versus a computer is the home rules, the house
Yeah.
rules, the
Yeah.
idea that okay, this is a hit to the outfield, and I got a big fat DH on second base compared to my speedy center fielder on second base. You could say, hey, this guy's going to score. It's 2 outs. He's on his horse. He's motoring around third. There's no way he doesn't score in this play.
Right.
And I like how you can change some of that stuff there. And so many times I played a game and it's like, and we did a whole show on when it doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
when it doesn't make sense with cards and dice, you can fix it to make it
Right.
make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the PC, you're kind of locked into what it says there.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And let's see, DJ, good to see you here, DJ John. I played Basic for many years. Once I tried Super Advanced, got hooked and can't go back. I will say, as far as hockey goes, going from Basic to Advanced in hockey is a very small step. Very small step. Going from Advanced to Super Advanced, especially with the power play, it gets busy. There's a lot of lookups. There's a lot of things you need to remember. Because I was at the rink the other day and I saw the picture of me. I took the Strat hockey rules with me and I'm reading the Super Advanced. It's like the first few pages of the book are basic and advanced, and then like the whole other half of the book is all super advanced. And I'm reading this and I'm going, man, even as a hockey guy, am I going to remember all this stuff? You know, but the advanced, it just adds in a few more looks on the card. It doesn't change a heck of a lot from the basic. I think you get more out of it with the advanced compared to the basic, but it doesn't feel like a huge leap. Baseball, you got to flip the whole card over, go to the left-right splits, and now I got to remember what side to look at. You're not just looking at the card, you know. Then you bring in, all the extra ratings with it as far as fielding and the whole bit. So I feel the baseball advance is quite the jump from basic. I really do.
Yeah, it is. And you've got the symbols after certain hits. Is this a ballpark single? Then you got to find out what your ballpark is for the singles.
Yeah.
And I think there's even, like, if you go to super advanced, maybe there's like even weather effects that affect the ballpark single or the ballpark home run. And now you're just really just kind of, to me, you're adding in things that don't really need to be added in, especially if you were going to try to replay an entire season. I think it would all come out in the wash.
Yeah, I like I say, I think it depends what you want. Some people love that. Some people love all the extra stuff, and if you do, that's great. For me, like I said, when I sit and play APBA baseball, I play the basic version. I eat that up. I could play that all day. I love it. And you know why I love it? Because I can figure everything out. I'm not sitting there wondering, oh boy, what about this? And and now I got this, and I got to remember what to do with that. And there's some games that just get so complex that you got to think, you got to remember all these things that have happened before you even roll the dice, because everything gets affected by the dice roll depending on the situation. And that's where I get lost, and that's where I get frustrated, because then I forget that, oh, I forgot to check that, and oh yeah, I remember that this, that, and the other thing. And whereas with APBA there, you roll it and it, there it is. This is what happens, and it's all baked into the game. And I don't know how they do it, but they do it, and I really like that.
Right. I've never played APBA baseball, and I'm thinking maybe sometime I will pick it up and look at it. But it's got the book that has all the results, the charts, and everything. But as I understand it, I was watching somebody play it, and there's only like is it true that there's only like 1 or 2 pages you need to look at?
What it is there's I have both books. I have the big book and the small book. Actually, I have them right here. So this is the big book. So it's almost like the size of the APBA hockey, And so you open it up and you got all your results here. And then, excuse me, good thing I have that mute button. Then I have the small one, which is a lot smaller. This is the one I like to use. And you just open it up. So everything's a little bit smaller here, as you can see. But you have a page in each book for every situation. So you got the bases empty page, which is what you always start with. Right. Then you get man on first and second, bases loaded, and second and third, and first and third. So you have any kind of base running combination is in those charts, or whatever that is, 6 different outcomes, whatever it is.
Right.
And so you just flip to that page. It's almost like playing Hockey Blast, where if you get the regular minutes and then you get the power play minutes and you get the empty net minutes.
Right.
And so what I like about that is you just flip. Okay, so I got a man on first. I flipped on a man on first chart. I roll the dice. Okay, it's going to be a 31. A 31 on this is this, and it's got different ratings for the pitchers and different ratings for the fielders, and it tells you what happened with the man on first base. And it's all baked into that, and it's that simple, and it's that fun. And I can't believe how many games I played at APBA baseball, and something crazy happens that you wouldn't expect in a game where you're not flipping through all these charts and rare plays.
Mhm.
It's like guys thrown out. He argues, gets thrown out of the game. I was like, that was
Yeah.
kind of cool, actually. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that. But it's all in there, and it's really, really fun. So you might like it. It's very similar to Strat Basic, very similar to that, except the results are not on the card; they're in the book. But each you just flip to whatever's going on. How many people are on base? That's your chart you look at. You roll the
Right.
dice. The card tells you where to look, and it tells you what happens. It tells you if it's a ground ball out, a double play, how many runners advance. And what I like about APBA baseball too is the runners have they're fast, slow, or normal, let's say. And you do have the option of saying, so let's just say you got a guy on second base. And you say, I'm going to play it safe with him. So the ball hit to the outfield, and it says, slow runner thrown out at the plate or fast runner thrown out, whatever it is. Well, you played it safe, so he stops at third.
Mhm.
So there's no play at the plate. So you have a couple options like that. But I do like how it says fast runner scores, normal runner doesn't, and slow runner is thrown out. So it's kind of neat that speed does come into play there.
Now, is it true the stealing is determined by the game, and
Yes. Yes.
you don't decide whether to steal
Right.
it?
Yeah. The stealing is baked into the game, whereas I forget what number it is you roll, but it'll be like either a walk and then he immediately steals the base, or
Mhm.
a single and he immediately steals the base. However, thanks to Delaware, Tabletop Delaware, he come out with this chart here, which I think is off the master game. And this
Mhm.
is a stealing allowance chart. And what it does is you get on the newer APA cards, they have a steal rating. And so over here, you look at their steal rating, and then it says when they can steal. So it's all kind of, again, you can steal whenever you want. It's your game, I guess. But going by this chart, so if he's a steal rating of A, he can go at any time. If he's
Mhm.
steal rating of R or N, well, he's probably not going to try to steal. So and
Right.
you wouldn't. But your better guys, at least with this chart here, it gives you the option of stealing. So you figure out if he can steal according to the chart, and then you look down here and you figure out his speed, the pitcher's hold. I think it's his hold rating to keep the runner on base, and then
Right.
the catcher's arm. And when you factor all that in, you either add or subtract a number, and you roll the 11 to 66, and you see if he steals the base. And I've used that quite a bit, and I don't use it much, but I do like to use that one advanced or master rule in
Mhm.
baseball, because there's, like I say, late in the game, it's like, man, I want to get this guy in scoring position, but I didn't get the automatic steal
Right.
that comes in the game. So you use that, and that's the only bit of advanced I use in APA, was that stealing thing there. And I've used it a couple times, and it comes in handy, and it's very fun, and it adds to my game.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday I'll probably get it. I'm not sure when, but it is. I see so many guys playing it, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. So.
Yep. So I keep hearing that Brady is unretiring, going back to the Buccaneers. My phone's been dinging over here, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see on that. And let's see. Let me see. Midlife says, as playing kid, just basic for years. I had the X shot memorized. That's kind of neat. And he can
Right.
fly through the games. He played 15 games in a day. Oh, to be young again. Yeah, I'm actually enjoying the super advanced X chart and Strat PC baseball. Again, I don't think I would ever want to use it on the cards and dice, but
Yeah.
I do have my charts out, and when I play the game, I try to follow along. Like, okay, X chart,
Right.
roll, this is this and this is that. So I take out my chart and I follow along, and I see if I get it right before I hit the OK button. And a lot of times I do. So I am enjoying that. I really am. And see, Bernard says here, would you enjoy the Strat baseball game if you just saw the outcome without the cards? No. I play Strat PC baseball because it's cards and dice. And that, and if I want to play a closed engine, I'll play, Baseball Mogul or OOTP
Yeah.
or Action PC, and I have all those, and I like all those. And what I really like about the Strat PC baseball is that I feel like I'm playing cards and dice, and I don't have much animation turned on. I see the pitch and I see where the ball goes, and that's plenty for me. I just want to get a little taste of what happens because I'm mostly looking at the cards and the dice. So okay, it's a fly ball to left field. So I see the hit in the left field. I'm fine with that. I don't need to see the guy move over and make the catch. I don't need to see him throw him back in. That's not what I play Strat for. When I play Action PC, I like to see all that animation because I'm in here for a more visual experience. Strat PC, I'm looking to play my games as cards and dice, follow along, and get to the end of the game. And that's what I enjoy about that. OOTP, I play that and I love the animation. I love that animation. And I saw you did a pretty good video comparing Strat and OOTP on your channel there one time. And I watched that, and again, they're two different games for two different reasons.
Yeah.
Is what they really, I mean, if you want Chinese food, go Chinese food. If you want Italian, you go Italian. You can't say which was better.
Yeah, right.
If I'm in the mood for Italian, I'm not going to go to the Chinese place, expect to get Italian food.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what it is. The phrase asks, does Apple Hockey have a basic and advanced? I would say no. Apple is just one level of hockey there. And it's a nightmare. The rule book is a nightmare. And I highly suggest you check out the video that I did.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
I did a whole video and I had a whole list. I had a big sheet of paper here. It was a huge sheet of paper. And I went over all the pitfalls that I ran into with Apple Hockey and how I solved them and how I interpret them and a couple of homebrew rules. Just it was almost I think it's almost like a roadmap. Like if you're going into the jungle, it's like here's a map of everything, every trap that I fell in, and every rock that I tripped over, and every snake that I found. And so I did that for Apple Hockey, and I think it's helped because it's a great Apple Hockey is a great game. It's just fighting through the weeds, that rule book to get it. I mean, when you play it, it makes sense, but when you read the rule book, like, why are they wording it like this? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's just one level of play in the game. But again, if you play cards and dice, you can play, you can make up. I've made up a ton of homebrew rules in that game, and I don't think it has wrecked the game at all. And let me see here, Jason. How do you compare Action PC Hockey and the Crease Hockey to something like Strat PC Hockey? Well, Action PC Hockey is very visual. You can really customize the heck out of that. And have you played Action PC Hockey?
No, as far as hockey, I've only played Strat.
Okay. So Action PC Hockey is you just kind of click on, what do you want to do? Do you want to be aggressive? Do you want to play safe? Do you want, who do you want to pass to? Do you want to shoot? That's what Action PC Hockey is. Inside the crease is you're following along. So you flip the card and it says, is the defenseman rated 4? If he is, he takes the puck away. If not, then the guy either makes a pass or takes a shot. You take the shot, okay, we check here. It's a shot range 3, and he rolls a 15. So you look at the goalie shot range 3. Is a 15? Is it a save? Is it a rebound? Is it a goal? So you kind of following along with inside the crease there, and you're kind of clicking around on the PC.
Yeah.
I played the cards and dice version. It's very, very similar to the PC game. They're almost identical. They really are. The Strat PC is a lot more cards and dicey, whereas it reads off what was on the card that you flipped and tells you where the puck went, who won the face off. And then at certain points, it'll say, do you want to pass? Do you want to shoot? Do you want to penetrate? If you're on defense, do you want to intimidate? If there's a loose puck, sometimes you can dictate who the puck goes to. So it's very, very cards and dicey, whereas the other two really are not. Although, Action PC is definitely not. It's because it's a closed engine. But the inside the crease, it's a fast action card game is what that one is. You don't roll any dice with inside the crease. I like all three. They all do different things for me. I feel in the crease, I get the deepest hockey experience of the three. I just do, because it's got block shots, it's got icings. I just feel like it plays like an actual game. The puck goes into the corner. It's a battle in the corner between the defenseman and the forward. Who gets the puck? I feel that in the game. Strat is more of a highlight game where it's like every 40 seconds or so, here's what's going to happen here. And it's very enjoyable, but I think it's a deeper experience than inside the crease. And he says he hasn't played Action PC Hockey yet. So again, I like all hockey games. I think Action PC is great. I love the visuals in that game. I like how you can customize the logos and the teams and the colors. But it's a closed engine, and you're kind of doing just some clicking and watching that. But it's very, very fun. Appa Brian, what's going on? You can work with the stealing with home rules or the Merino boards. Appa's a worthy game to try. I agree. I think if you like Strat Basic, I think you would like the Appa baseball.
I'm sure I would. I have no doubt that I would enjoy it. I'll get it at some point.
Yep. And this guy here, who is this guy? This replay gamer guy. Who is this replay gamer guy? Good to see you. What's going on? We had a nice little chat a couple weeks ago with him. There, he's got some interesting stuff. I think he might have bought a piece of gear. He sent me a message. He might have bought a new piece of gear. So I'm dying to see if he really did, if he got it, if it's set up, and how he sounds. So stay tuned to the Replay Gamer channel. Joel, good to see you. Appa Basic is a fun game. Played it for years as a teen, and now I find the lack of pitching rating differentiation, a lack of pitcher rating differentiation. Thank you very much. A non-starter. Okay, and I guess that's true. I mean, I think maybe we play games for so long, and then we want a little bit more meat on the bone. Mm-hmm. I think that might make sense with some of the games like that. So you play a game like Appa Basic, which has been fun for years and years and years, and you're like, and then you come out with some other games that, like I said, they get deep. They get real deep. Like I see like Inside Pitch. I can't figure that game out for the life of me. Even on the computer, I have a hard time playing it, and the computer helps you along. And other people play the heck out of Inside Pitch, and it's like, wow, good for you, and they love it. They love the complexity of that. And me, I have a hard time with it. DJ John, just saying hi to a couple people in the chat. And let's see. In the Merino hybrid game, there are about 20 different rating levels, plus your strikeout and control modifiers. Yeah. So I guess the Merino boards for Appa Baseball is something that it's kind of somewhere between the basic and the advanced, or the master, I guess what it is. I've seen some people, I was going to try to use it, but when I saw that like every pitching roll, it's like you're looking at a chart and making adjustments. And I guess that's where you get more, I don't want to say realism or accuracy. Maybe you do, I'm not sure. But for me, that was too much. That was too much for me to stop and look at and have to make all these adjustments. I just enjoy the roll, look at the book. What happened? I just want to watch the game play out. So for me right now, I didn't want to. Maybe in the future I might. So, and let me see. Brad says he enjoys Dynasty Baseball online. I looked at that. I haven't played it. It's basically Pursue the Pennant. Yep. That's a very interesting game. Have you played that one at all?
No, I haven't.
Dynasty Baseball or Pursue the Pennant.
No.
It is very strat like, whereas you roll the dice and you look at the card. I think it's a 1 to 100 roll. It's the 3 10-sided dice. Is what I think it is. And then you look at the card. I think that's what it is. Strat Baseball can finish the game in 10 minutes. Yes, it is. I rip through 5 or 6 games a night sometimes when I'm sitting here,
Right. Yeah.
So, but hey, let's go back to something that somebody pointed out over here, and it was the pesky poll. And so he puts this. It says Strat gets so expensive. And let's talk about that for a minute. We did a whole show on that about price point and what games are worth to you. And I really think it comes down to, what you enjoy, what you like out of a game. And I think each game has a different value to everybody. So in other words, what you might pay for a game and what I might pay for a game and what people in the chat would pay for a game are vastly, vastly different. And I agree that I do hate paying for seasons individually. I hate doing that. At the same time, would these businesses still be in business if they gave away every season with the game? I mean, how would they continue to make money and stay in business?
Well, that's my question about Out of the Park, because I originally bought Out of the Park 21. And I could have stopped with Out of the Park 21 because it has every season up until like 2020 or 2021. And even if you have a desire to go beyond that, the game will just generate, make believe players to fill out your rosters going forward.
Right.
So yeah, I usually wait for the price to drop because like they'll start at 40 and then it'll go down to 20 when the new game comes out. So
Yeah.
I was wondering myself, how can they sell a game for $40 that'll give you every season right up until that point?
Yeah. Yeah, and some games come with every season. There's a handful of games you buy, or like Action PC doesn't come with every season, but if you catch a sale, you can get seasons for $3 in the Action PC games. Now I understand if you're printing stuff like all my Apple Hockey behind me here, printing costs money, shipping costs money, so it's going to be more than PDFs, let's say, or even electronic seasons. I get that, but on the show that we discuss price point. So I'm looking here just myself. I bought 77, 86, and along with Strat Baseball, and I bought the old ballparks. So I'm probably into Strat PC Baseball for $150,
Yeah.
give or take. So by the time I bought the game, I bought the card image. I didn't need to buy 77. I just wanted something different. But so let's just say I didn't. So, whatever. So then I buy the images and I buy the season, my 86 season. So I'm into it for $150. And I'm playing the entire Clemens season right there. So I don't know how many games it's going to be, 30 or 40 games. Let's just say I played a few other games and I practiced. I play 50 games. That's $3 a game I'm into this for. If I never play it again, I'm into it for $3 a game. Did I get $3 a game worth of excitement out of that? I would say so. I would say I did. And I know that I'm going to pick up 75 and I'm going to play the Reds and I'm going to play the A's in 75. I might end up playing a couple hundred games of Strat PC Baseball. So now let's say I spend $200 on it and I play 100 to 200 games at some point. It's $1 a game. It's $1 a game.
Yeah.
So again, when you think about it that way, it ain't so bad. We used to do the same thing with video games. Oh, it's $80 for the new hockey game. If I play it for 80 hours, that's $1 an hour to play that game. Did I get my money's worth? I think I did. So yeah. So, but I guess everybody has their own price point. Some people are like, that prices me out. But if you sit and look at it, how much enjoyment are you going to get out of this? Like I say, you like to buy the new seasons, So how many games do you think you might play? So you picked up the new season of baseball. How many games do you think you might play?
I'll play a lot of games. I mean, I couldn't give you really a number. I'll play a lot of games. Sometimes I do my own off to the side, like my own home league, where I'll set up a league with different teams sometimes from different seasons, sometimes within one of the seasons that I just bought. But I will play probably hundreds of games. So yeah, I'm definitely getting my money's worth.
Yeah, and I think that yeah. So you don't feel like we all get the buyer's remorse. As Joel says, he waits for the late season. So yeah, I'm waiting for them to go on their again, buy 3 get 1 or buy 4 get 1, and I'll buy a bunch of baseball seasons. That's what I did with the hockey. I stocked up on. I probably get 20 hockey seasons, but I bought a bunch of them on sale and whatever. But again, I think if you I love the Strat hockey. I'll play that in game here, a game there. I don't know how many games I got that in there, and I may never get my money's worth or my value on the Strat hockey because I bought so many seasons. Same with the Apple behind me. I may never, but you know something though, if tonight after the show, if I sit there and it's like, something, I'm in the mood to play 1978, Colorado Rockies and the Boston Bruins. I can go to my shelf, pull it off, play the game. I'm going to get so much enjoyment out of that one game I'm going to play. You know what I mean? And that's when it becomes priceless. And if the replay game is still here, I don't know if he was in here earlier. He did something, and I mentioned this on the last Digital to Dice. The replay gamer was playing. I don't know if it was the 47 season. It was an older season, and he was playing the game, and he's got his cards in front of him. And I remember, and he stopped, and he took out one of the cards, and he went, I'm playing a game with this guy in it. And I've never seen him play because it was before my time. and he hit the ball to this guy.
Mhm.
How cool is it that I am playing a game with two of my favorite baseball players in it? And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it was something to that effect. And he stopped in the middle of his stream and was just in the moment. And it was a priceless moment. Whatever he paid for that game paid for itself right there.
Right. Right. That's exactly right.
You know, every
Yeah.
time I pull out a hockey game and I see Bobby Orr or Johnny Busick or Ray Bork or, even Ken Dryden, big smile on my face. I'm back to my happy time. There's no price on that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things I enjoy too is the trips down memory lane, remembering guys, especially the non-stars, the guys that were just they were on the team, they played, they played a lot, but they're guys that slipped through the cracks that you don't remember until you break out that team and you see that guy and you're like, "Oh yeah, that guy, he was a good player." Yeah, it's great to go take to,
It is.
have those memories come back when you break the games out.
Yep. Apple Brian says, yeah, the Marina boards and broadcasting is too much. And, that's what Sportsman Z was saying. And we'll get to your video channel in a few minutes, Sportsman Z, because he does a lot of, on his channel as well. He does a lot of videos. And he was just talking about how the basic just goes over better, because it's a lot less rules to remember. You get the results of the game. He feels basic mode is really good for that. You got to wait till the late season strat sales. Yep. We were just talking about that. Comparing Strat PC and Replay PC, just before I tuned in. Have you ever played Replay PC baseball?
No, I haven't.
That's another good one. With Replay, you get a season of your choice in the game for $55. With Strat, you have to get the new season to get another season. It's a total of 95. Yeah, but again, once you buy the game, any of these games, you don't got to buy the game anymore unless you want to get the new version. If they come out with a new version, I do like the fact that with Replay PC, you can choose your season. That is really cool because I don't always need the new season. I'll pick a classic season, so that could be a game changer as far as buying a game. I do like that. What's really neat about PC Replay Baseball is much like Strat, you can roll your own dice in that game. I think that it comes with the charts on a PDF version. So I printed them out and I follow along. I don't think you get the rare charts though. That's the one thing they hold back. But so when you roll the dice and you look at the cards, you can follow along on the charts. It's almost Apple-like kind of sort of.
Yeah.
And the other thing I really like about that is you can play any baseball game and just log in like with Strat. That's what makes it really kind of fun. So I'm playing 80 APBA baseball on the table and I'm logging in stats with PC Replay. And I almost feel dirty doing that because it's like I'm playing your game, but I'm using your game to log in stats. So I'm not really playing your game, but I'm using your game. I feel like I'm using the game a little bit. I feel a little dirty when I do that. I do. DJ's got a question for you.
Yeah. I knew that the White Sox were not going to re-sign Rodon. I knew they weren't. And also he's injury prone, and last year was the only year in his career so far that he's done that he was pitched at such a high level. So we'll see how he does in San Francisco. I mean, it's a nice park to pitch in for pitchers. So we'll see. But there's nothing that would have indicated to you that he was going to do what he did. And so we'll have to see going forward, can he repeat that performance?
And baseball is starting back up soon. They got that agreement, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. It's Ron was laughing about it. He's like, I'm finally playing baseball games. I'm finally interested in baseball because for me, I just wasn't a big baseball fan. But I'm playing all these baseball games. Maybe I'll watch some on TV to kind of, because I haven't watched baseball and they're on strike. Like, what are the chances, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, Bernard says, yeah, Action PC had a sale. They're always having sales. So, yeah, you can just load up with Action PC. Yeah, Strat would be expensive. OTP, Digital Diamond, and Dynasty are free. Yeah, but it all depends. Like I say, it depends what you enjoy. I'm not going to go and pick up Digital Diamond or any of these other games that have all the seasons included just because they have all the seasons included. I really like Strat PC Baseball. Sadly, I wish I hated it, because now I know I'm going to go buy more seasons. But the enjoyment I'm getting out of it, just everything about the game, I'm enjoying. It's a cards and dice. I'm playing cards and dice, but it's on the computer. I don't get to keep the stats. I love the stat package on Strat PC. Nothing other games don't, but I am digging in deep. I mean, boy, they have stats on everything, and it's so. I'm a
Right.
stat guy. I really am. I do stats for a living, and I love looking at all the stats. And Strat PC baseball, it's everything, and you got to dig for them, but they're in there. And even the
Oh
hockey,
yeah,
I
they
was
are.
surprised in the hockey what the hockey has to offer too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that is really fun. So for me, and the other thing is that um, I'm gonna pick up a handful of Strat baseball seasons, but I'm not gonna like. I'd never play, you know, 90% of the seasons if they came with everything. Like, I have OOTP. I get my 2 or 3 seasons I enjoy playing, and that's about it with the OTP.
Right.
So I would never play, the vast majority of the season. So, I mean, it's great that they're there. I just don't think I would, play them. So for me, value is it's in the eyes of the beholder, what you're willing to spend. And,
Right.
again, if you find a game that comes with everything that's a great value and you like the game, then you're all set. But if you
That's right.
like a game, you will spend the money and play it. That's what I think. You like to get the cards, like I said, with Strat. You like to get the cards of dice with Strat baseball and on the PC, right?
Yes, I get both every year. Yeah, every single year.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And Midlife says, no doubt I'll get my money's with Strat, but I have no interest in the 2021 season. I find myself scrolling through old PC seasons and see what comes up with my compatible with my version. Okay. Yeah, I don't play much of the new stuff either. I mean, it's nice that it's there, and maybe I would at some point, but
Mhm.
whatever. Jason says I trust Strat's defensive ratings much more than Action PC baseball. He prefers Strat. Again, I think it's all kind of subjective. I mean,
I
it's
think
what you enjoy.
I think the replay gamer has mentioned before that I forget which game it was that he was talking about. I don't think it was Strat, but he was talking about he's seen some ratings of players that he was like, there's no way this guy should have this rating,
Right.
and couldn't understand why. But I don't see that very often. I mean, people argue back and forth a lot about
Oh,
Strat. I get into
oh,
arguments
yeah.
with my buddies about the ratings of the players. This guy should be a 2, or this guy really should be a 1, or but they're usually right. They're like right there. They're in the ballpark with what the guy should be. It's not like you'll never see a guy who's really in real life would be what you would consider to be a 4 or a 5 and get rated a 1 or a 2 in Strat.
Right.
So
No, no, let me ask you about that. It seems like of all the sports, baseball is I don't say the only one, but it's vastly the one that I see people arguing over ratings on cards.
yeah.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think that's a little bit of nitpicking? Do you think there's any validity to that, or
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's I don't it's I mean, I guess it's something to talk about because you'll see a guy like maybe it's a player that you really like and you think he was really great, and then you see his card and you're like, whoa, he was better than this, you
Mm,
know. But I don't think it's something that really, it's not a deal breaker for people. But it's just it's something to talk about. I remember one time there was one year Kent Herbeck of the Twins. He had been a first base 2 or 3 every year leading up to this whatever year it was. I forget what year it was. And I remember telling my buddies, Herbeck's going to be a 1 at first base, and they were like, "No, there's no way Herbeck is going to be a first base 1." And then Strat came out with the set. He was a first base 1.
oh,
And they were like, "Oh my God, Zalk was right. He's a 1."
do you think that? You think that ruins it a little bit when you start looking at the cards and saying because I just play the games and I mean I can't really tell when I look at a card what is what. But for
Mhm.
me, it's like I just want to play the game. And I suppose if like I say, I'm playing the Clemens is getting rocked. So maybe I'm like questioning his card a little bit. But I just enjoy playing the game, and I don't want to sit there and say, "Well, this guy doesn't have a chance," and this guy, I think that's a little. I mean, I guess it's a conversation piece, but
Yeah,
maybe, I mean, I could see if you said, "Hey, look, I played an entire season, and this guy hit, 270, and he only hit 170, and this
mhm,
card is." I could see maybe with that if
right.
you've played a ton of games, but just to kind of look at it and just judge it right off the bat. But I guess maybe some people know better than I do, because they played it before.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll usually be close. Like if it's a one or it's only going to be the difference between a one or a two, and or a two and a three, or a three and a four. So, and it's just something to talk about. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference to a lot of people, but it is something interesting.
Mhm. So midlife says he has you on the 77 Fernando Arroyo. I have 77, by the way. That's the first one I got. Replay Gamer still with us here. And he says the price per game is a great way to think about. Yeah, you kind of have
It
to.
is. Mhm.
You do. It's like, what is this worth to me? Is it worth it for me? And like I said, I run a hockey league, and the people are like, I play in all 3 months of hockey and pay you whatever money, and all I get is a T-shirt. But that's what you're gonna boil it down to? Is at the end of the season you won and you got a T-shirt? Did you not show up to the rink for 4 months and play and have fun and skate and hang out with your buddies? We're just gonna throw all that away, right?
Right.
And just focus on the T-shirt.
Mhm.
That's all I get is an $8 T-shirt at the end. I mean,
Yeah.
but again, break it down. Do a cost analysis on this stuff. I bought this game. This is what it costs. How much do I think I'm going to play it? And let's face it, we've all bought games, whether it's video games or cards and dice or PC games that we played the crap out of, and we've got way more than we expected to. And there's other games we bought that we played once and never played again.
Right.
It just happens. It's all really what you want to do. I keep talking about this video game I played on the PlayStation 4. It was a $60 game. I didn't play it for the longest time, and it came out on sale for $20. For $20, I gave it a try. I probably put 120 hours into this game on the PlayStation for
Mhm.
$20. Do the math on that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I actually felt bad. I remember I was on a video game podcast years ago, and I remember saying I felt bad that I only paid $20 for this game because it is a $60 to $100 game with the amount I put into it. Even at $100 game, I'm still at $1 an hour. A
Right.
dollar an hour.
I
I
mean,
that
you know, that's what I've told my wife before is once I buy this game, I'm playing it a ton of times. I'm
Yeah,
playing it a lot. I'm playing it every month. I'm playing it every day. So if it's $120, it's $120, but I'm going to get $120 worth out of it.
right, right. And like Jim was saying here, these games allow us to reconnect to the games players at the times that we loved as kids, and we were just talking about that. th- that that's your smiley face. That's your happy time. Plus, we can see
Yeah.
those players that were before our time. Yeah, we talked about that too. But again, like I say, there's all that money I put in the app. But now I didn't buy them all. That's the thing. We don't buy these all at once. It's not like we write a check for $1,000.
Right.
It's like they have a sale, or maybe like I say, I put in a lot of extra games this weekend, so I picked up some extra money. So I might go pick up a season. Okay, $78. Boom, here we go. Send it off to me. In a few weeks, maybe something else comes up. Okay, I got $78. I'm going to buy another season. So you chip away at it. It's a collection. You don't go and you don't buy them all at once.
Right.
A little bit here, a little bit there. So you're not, like I say, spending tons of money all at once. That's the idea behind it. But like I say, if I go and pull out a hockey game tonight and I play it, priceless. It's priceless having this stuff. And like I said, once you have it, you have it. So I don't got to go buy all these again if I don't want. I have them there. You buy it once, and there you go. And there's something to be said about getting that package in the mail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
Christmas
always
morning. Let's
love
face
that.
it. It's Christmas
Yeah.
morning when that
It
package
is.
arrives. It's just like
It
I'm
is.
running down the stairs to I want to
It
get that. I
is.
want to open it up. Oh yeah, smelling the cards. I mean, look at this. Oh, look at this guy. Remember this guy? Remember this guy? Remember this guy? Remember this guy? I mean,
Yeah.
the joy that you get out of this stuff.
Yeah, this year, it's funny story. We were going out of town to see my brother, and it turns out that my Strat delivery was going to be that day that we were leaving. So I had kept trying to stall, and I was telling my wife, "No, let's not leave until afternoon, or after 1, or whatever." But finally, I had to break down. We ended up leaving, and she had the neighbors look out for it. But I was like, wish I'd gotten. I
Yeah.
mean, I would have looked through the cards on the way up to his house.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Arnold, thanks for coming by. Just purchased Status Pro Baseball from eBay. Love the game. You played Status Pro Baseball, right?
Yeah, I did.
Tell me a little bit about that. I don't know anything about that.
Well, Status Pro is I like it. It's got different mechanisms in it. Like it has a pitcher tiring mechanism.
Okay.
That you decrease it. You decrease them 1 for every hit, on base, walk, run scored.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then when they run out, then it's all off the batter's card. And
Oh, really?
they have different ratings that show um, that make it seem how dominant it is. Like it starts with the pitcher, and if the pitcher has, let's say, I don't like a 2 to 8, it's on 12. It's based on 12-sided, 12-sided dice. So let's say he's a 2 to 8. So he's a really dominant pitcher as opposed to somebody who's only a 2 to 5. So when you pick a card off the fast action deck or roll the dice, if you don't roll within the pitcher's range, then it goes to the batter. And so I think it's kind of it's not really 50-50 because you don't have a 50% chance really of
Okay.
getting one or the other. It's just based on how dominant the pitcher is. But that's a nice feature of it that makes it a little better, or not. I don't want to say a little better, but it makes it different than Strat. So it is.
Okay.
It's a great game to play. I like it.
It's something I'm not sure if I would try. Maybe at some point I would. I like to try different games. That's just what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Joel says I'm never gonna play or not play a game because of the price. At the end of the day, it's a pretty cheap hobby, much cheaper than a boat. And I say that too. I mean, you know, I know people that collect cars. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at that. I'm like, well, boy, that's an expensive hobby to collect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, again, how many cars can you drive at once? I've heard that argument. How many seasons can you play at once? I get it. But if I get, some seasons over here that are 50 or $60 or whatever they were, it's different than if I get a $10,000 or $20,000 car sitting in my driveway that I'm not driving. So
Right.
again, it's all about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. We could have really worse hobbies. We could collect fur coats or jewelry or stuff like that. That just that every purchase is hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So yes, that's exactly right. Midlife says he remembers when Bobby was it Abreu Abreu won a GG.
was
Would
a
have
gold.
stopped. Would have stopped playing Strat. They gave him a 1. They gave him a 3. Yep. He didn't make any errors, so that's that. Joel says defensive ratings are very subjective. Defensive stats don't necessarily reflect the true ability. And I suppose when you're carding players, some of that is true. That there's probably certain guidelines that you go on to card players. So maybe certain things come into the aspect. For example, the outfielder, the best arm, doesn't get the most assists because no one runs on him. That's a pretty good point, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So you're not going to try to run on that guy, so you don't. So that might affect his rating a little bit.
Right.
He says he thought the warning track meant stop, not slow down. Okay, that's kind of funny. Appa Brian jumps back in. Baseball ratings are so tricky. You might look at the runner with a short leg and think he's really fast, but he's not going to point A to point B really fast. For example, Nori Aoki or John Jay. Yep, there's that. Math, fun, and games stops by. Everything is relative. What is the entertainment value for the money? And we've been talking about that. It's all relative. It's all subjective. For $120, you can get multiple seasons of game like Inside Pitch. For $120, you can get 12 Status Pro golf seasons on PDF. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the PDF. Do you ever do anything PDF?
Yeah. Well, the Back to Basics baseball is, that's all PDF.
Okay.
But you do get every season. That's another one though. You get every season. They give you a link, and then you can download any of the seasons that you want to your computer. and then you write in basically the way you play it, or the way it's meant to be played, is you write in the ratings that they have in the PDFs into your score sheet, and then you just pick the cards and you refer to the ratings, and that's how the game is played. But I make my own cards based off those ratings, just again, because when I play a game, I like to have cards in my hand. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Let's see here. And man, if I want to play a game almost like Apple for free, you'll play National Pastime. Is it National Pastime National Game Plus MPNG? I forget what that stands for. Has over 50 seasons. It's free. I looked into that. Okay, I did. I looked into that NG Plus. It was very similar to Apple. I'll give you that, and it's free, I guess. I'd have to check it out. Um, I do like the app. I gotta say, I do like the app, and I know that I should probably go to try that game and play it because it's free. But you still got to print out the cards and all that. That's the thing. Is that when I did look into that, you got to print out all the cards, or at least the teams that you want to play. And I usually print them all out. I don't know about you, but I'm such a collect the whole set type of guy that I can't just print out a couple teams. I have to print out the whole season,
right.
and that gets into a whole nother discussion.
Mhm.
Um, and now here's another point here. Not everybody can afford all this stuff, and that's when it comes down to what you can afford, the value for you. Is it justified? And again, it's all about perspective. It really is. To some people, it's like this is, and I've looked at some games too. It's like, man, I don't. Apple football is a good example. I don't want to get into that because the seasons are $115, $120 sometimes. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at that. I'm going, wow, do I really want to get into that game? You know, so I can see that that's one that I really don't want to do either. The new Apple baseball seasons I hear are expensive if you want every card. They can be, I think they're whatever the season is plus the bonus card. It could be up to $130, $140, I think. So the Apple baseball, if you want everything, does get expensive. So again, is that if that's your favorite game, you don't have a problem paying that. But
Yeah.
it is. Then here's another question here, another comment here. Something I didn't even think about. Strat cards hold value. What do you think about that? I mean, people will hang on these cards and they'll sell them, and sometimes they'll make money on it.
That's right. Yeah, the older seasons you can find on eBay, but people sell those seasons for hundreds of dollars, depending on what season it is. You seasons from the '80s, you might they might be charging $150 when originally they bought that season from Strat that year for $30.
Mm,
So yeah, those it can get expensive buying them like that. I bought a few of my seasons that way on eBay and paid a lot more than
right.
the original price of the set. But if you want, if you're a collector like me, then you will do that. And so I did.
I did that too when I started collecting Strat hockey seasons. They don't have many in the 70s. And so
Right.
I went on eBay and I was paying arms and a leg for some of these. I really was.
Mhm.
Luckily, I ran into somebody who sold me 70, 71, which is one of my favorite seasons, for a very reasonable price. And I was shocked that he did it because he could have got almost double for what I paid for it. But he was
Yeah.
pretty cool about it. I don't know if he knew me from the show, whatever, or if he just knew me as a hockey fan. But he's like, "Hey, how about this?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, I will." And that's the other thing we talk. Yeah, collecting midlife crisis. As you talk about collecting cars, might be something he might do if he had a midlife crisis. But this hobby's cheaper. I mean, let's face it. We are kind of we play these things, but we also collect them, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm looking at the wall behind you there, all your memorabilia stuff there. You
Yeah.
can't play that stuff that's on your wall,
Right.
right? But
Right.
I don't know about you, but I come down here and I got my pennants and I got my video games up over here, and my app here, and right behind me, these are my PlayStation 2 games. I had a phase where I was collecting PlayStation 2 games. I'm picking these things up for 50 cents or $1 at these flea markets and stuff, and I started collecting them.
Yeah.
And once in a while, I'll put them in and play them for a few minutes and get my money's worth out of it. But you come down here and you look around at your memorabilia and your stuff, and it's like it's your happy place. It's your collectibles.
Right.
It
Right.
really is. So I mean, you get all those things in the wall behind you. Doesn't that make you like
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you know, like I said, with baseball, with the Strat baseball, I have almost every season that they've made, um, and and I have a lot of seasons on the PC of the PC game. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
it can
and
be expensive, that's for sure.
yeah. Did you ever see the video that Tebow did with his seasons? Gilles Tebow.
Mm-mm.
He did a thing. He took his video or cell phone and he goes, "Here's all my seasons." He's got Appa and Strat and a few other games. Oh my god, my OCD went through the roof. I had to take a pill. Okay, I did. I had to take a pill because he's going through. He's like, and here on the show, here's my Strat season. His 86, 92, and 51, and his Appa football 1984. Then over here it's Appa baseball and Strat. It's like, can you please organize them by game or by season? This was just like he took a deck of cards and dealt them all out. I was, oh my God, Tebow, please organize these. You're killing me here. It's like everything was just everywhere. It's like, please organize these by some kind of Dewey Decimal System, please. Math Fun and Game says he thinks Appa and Stratomatic need to come out with PDFs to get new customers. What do you think about that? To get new customers.
I don't know if that would be. I mean, it would be more of a cost-cutting move on the part of Stratomatic, but I don't know if it would attract new customers necessarily. Um, I guess it could, but it's just something that they've never even come close to doing. So I don't see them doing it anytime soon.
Well, again, the PDF route is a tough business model because it's the honor system, and there's nothing saying that you can't send me a season PDF and now I don't have to buy it.
Right.
So
Right.
there's
Strat
that.
can't afford to do that. So that's
Yeah.
the issue with there.
And Joel makes a good point here. No more PDFs. It takes 6 to 8 hours to cut and complete it. And he's right. And I've done that in the past. I have bought games and the PDF season's only a few dollars. I'll pick up the PDF and I'll be forever printing and cutting and it's just like, man, when the season comes in the mail, it's like, oh, it's all done for me. So again, you got to, do you want to save the money and put in the time? Or is it worth just getting it done and having the cards professionally
And
made?
that's how it is with Status Pro. With Status Pro baseball, there's places you can find seasons for free. You just download them. It doesn't cost you a thing. But once you download that PDF, you have to print it out. You have to cut the cards out. And like you said, for you'll end up doing it for the entire season because you just don't want to do just a team or two. You want to
Yeah.
do the entire season. So that's a lot. It's a lot of time to invest, and it's a lot in printer ink and card stock. So
No, but getting back to his point about new customers, okay, because when you think about it, you want to buy Strat or Appa, those are the bigger ones, and that's the ones he pointed out. So you're looking at $40 for the game, and then again, depending on what season you get, I buy the older ones, so they're smaller sets, so they're $80, let's say. But if you
yeah,
want to get a new season, you're looking at over $100. So the entry level into these games are not cheap. I mean, once you buy the $40 game, you don't got to buy it again. But the seasons, if you want to buy, so I see his point that if you're asking someone, hey, I got this great new game, it's $150. Holy cow, that's a big chunk to swallow. It really is.
it
Whereas
is.
if you said, I can sell you the PDF and the PDF is 25, but you got to print them all out. So maybe you only want to play a couple of teams. And so for you, that's a heck of a better value, even though, the printing costs and then the time, you maybe don't want to play every team. I
Right.
like to collect. I'm a collector. I like to collect the whole set. So I
Mhm.
generally will print everything out but it's hours of my time. It's paper, it's ink and the whole bit.
And really, that's how I got into back to basics baseball because I'd seen it. I guess I'd seen one video on it, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But then you realize it's only $17. So you go and you pay the $17, and my attitude was if I don't like it, I only paid $17.
Right. Yeah.
But then, I got it and it gave me the link to the PDFs and I started playing it. And it turns out I really do like the game. So,
I think it's what you just said there. I think it's a great way to try things out. And, so I think it'd be great is if you could print out a couple of teams. And who did that really well as Marco over at regular season basketball. Okay. I don't know if you play. I know you're not a big basketball fan.
mhm.
That game is got a basic mode where you just roll dice and you get the final score. And you got the we'll call it the advanced mode where you keep track of the stats. You still roll for the score, but then you discern who get the points on that particular minutes of play. And on his website, he had the instructions to play and 2 sample teams that you could print out and play. And I did that, and it's like, holy cow, this game is great. And now, if I had to buy a season of whatever it was, I might not have played that game.
Yeah.
So, not a bad idea offering a couple of teams or something PDF just to try it out. And then again, like you said, go and buy it or whatever.
Mhm.
So, PJet asks, who's playing Apple football and paying over $100 a season? Oh, there's a lot of people playing Apple football. I head over to Delphi and there's some hardcore people playing that Apple football. They really are. There's, the only thing about the Apple football, ID Jester did a really good rant on IG. I don't know if
Yeah,
did
I
you catch
saw
that?
some of that.
He was set up to play the Super Bowl because I clicked on it. I was like, oh, ID's playing Apple football. He's gonna play the Super Bowl. And instead he sat there, didn't even kick the ball off, and he ranted on Apple football. ID's rants are legendary.
They
And
are.
as entertaining as they are, he does make some really good points. He
Oh,
really
yeah.
does. He
I
really
mean, I
does.
saw his rant on Stratomatic, and I was like, and I love Stratomatic.
Yeah.
And I watched his rant, and I could say to myself, yeah, okay. I mean, you got some points, but I'm still going to buy Stratomatic.
Yeah.
So,
But he had a pretty good point about the Apple football and how expensive
yeah,
it was and how many of the cards you never even use. And
right.
it was a really, really good.
This card, I'm never going to use this card.
I need this card, this card, and this card. I need these 3 cards. That's all I need. The rest I can just throw away. And he made a really good point. He really did. And part of me says, just give me the skill cards and put everybody else on a team sheet. If I could, if that season would go from $115 down to 60 or 70, then that's more affordable at that point. It really is.
And I think he said in that same video, I think he said that Appa does that because they apparently heard from a lot of people who
People
said,
want
I
the
want
cards.
cards for these players.
Yes. Yep. Even though I'll never use this card for anything, I still want the cards. And so there's the old guard wants the cards. The new people aren't buying in because it's too expensive. And why do I want to buy cards I'm never going to use? So there's the juggling act. Maybe you offer both.
Right.
Is it going to hurt to offer both? But Brian said he had a blast playing with Fast Drive football. And it's totally free. Yep, that's the Al Wilson game. I enjoyed playing that as well. That's a really fun game. Let's see. Bruce, good to see you, Bruce. NPNG Plus has an Excel spreadsheet free as well to play the game. I think I saw that. So you don't have to print the cards. I need to really to look into that. I really do. And another guy says it's a board reader that has you to play on the PC without printing the PDFs. Okay, so I will have to definitely check that out. And the phrase says, I individually sleeve all of my Strat basketball and baseball cards. Do you do that by chance? Do you sleeve anything?
Yeah. Not for the individual cards, no. But I do put them in like 7-coin envelopes instead of the rubber band because the rubber band will ruin the cards.
Okay. I think I do that too. I think I got the things for that. Let's see. And math fun games. I'd love to play Strat and Appa if they come out with PDFs. I don't think they're ever going to do that.
No.
That's just not their business model. I do wish Strat would give you all the teams instead of sending to the, giving you 6 and sending you the file. I mean, maybe I'm the odd duck that wants to play the bad teams. I don't need to play the top teams.
That's for older seasons, right? That they do that.
Yeah, it was mostly the hockey I was talking about. I don't know what baseball. I think you get everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they do that with. I want to say maybe they do that with football, but with older seasons. Like they'll send you 6 actual teams and then maybe PDFs of the other teams.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean that saves their printing costs because they can't know how many people are going to order like the 1975 football season.
Yeah.
So if they only send off to the printer to have 6 teams made, that's a lot lower cost than having that entire 1975 season made.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, Apple Brian back here. Payoff pitch, which I have, has the PDF route, but with 50 players per team, it gets prohibitive from times. Yeah, I spent many days printing out an entire payoff pitch season. I put the team logos on it, and I added colors, and they come out fantastic. I rounded the corners like Apple. They come out great. And then after I did that once, I ordered on the website and says it's so much easier just to get the cards in from them,
Yeah.
So let's see, Glenn, what do you got here? I think Strat should do a pre-order for all of the seasons they have printed in the past. Once you hit the number of sales, print. What do you think about that? Yeah, because Strat, Appa, why I love Appa hockey and Appa baseball is the seasons are available. Strat, they just if they run out, it's like, oh, sorry, we're out. But that's a good point. Do a pre-order. If you can get, he said 1,000, but I think even if you get a couple hundred orders for a season, that might be worth a run. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be I think it's a great idea. Maybe we should write the Strat and recommend that.
I bet you it already has been recommended. But remember you said you went to eBay and you picked up some seasons. You're like, man, I spent so much. I did too with the hockey.
Yeah.
Even if okay, so let's just say the hockey season. What's a Strat season like? $60 or $80 or something like that. For
if you get just the cards, it's like 40 or 50. $40 or $50 if you just get the cards.
Okay, but I'm thinking that even if they said, look, we're gonna offer classic seasons if we get enough pre-orders, okay, and they're gonna be at a premium, so they'll be, $65 or $75, right? Let's just throw it out a number, okay? So I could buy the 70-71 hockey set from them for $75, which is higher than the normal. I don't know the exact number. I'm just throwing them out.
Right.
I was willing to spend way more than that with somebody on eBay. They could have made that money. I would have bought it from them, again, which would have been less than eBay, but more than the normal cent. And that's a sale that they lose out on.
Yeah.
That's a kind of weird way to do business. But Glenn hit it on the head. Hey, we're going to do some pre-orders for season. Here's 10 seasons that we're going to reprint if we get enough orders. Pre-order. And if we don't get it, then we don't charge a credit card. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we fall short of the goal, we're not going to do it. Okay, we hit the goal. So 1969, whatever it is, we're going to do this one because we got enough pre-orders. Sorry, 1968, we didn't get enough pre-orders, so we're not going to do that. We'll try that again in a few months.
Yeah. In fact, I some of my older sets were the die cut. They were already pre-cut and put together, and they weren't in the perforated sheets. And they stopped doing that because it was so expensive to do it. But even I've been telling people I would pay more even for those types of cards because I loved those cards the way they were.
The phrase brings up a point here. Strat pretty much has no inventory for cards and dice basketball. Yeah. Imagine that releasing a Bird and Magic season. Yep. Very true. He's glad to see the Retro 68 football season selling out. Yep. Maybe it's Michael Field set. DJ, another question for you.
Is there a baseball game new to you that you're thinking about buying? Yeah, Appa. I'm thinking about buying Appa. For the computer, I was thinking of getting Action PC Baseball. I haven't yet, but that's also one that I might get in the future.
Did you ever get the Pocket Pennant Run?
No, I didn't.
That's a PDF game. The way you gotta, although you don't necessarily need to print anything out. It comes with software, which is really neat for this game. It comes with software, and all you need to do is load the team that you want to do, put your batting order in, save the batting order, and then you can print out score sheets with the batting order and all the ratings on them, so you don't have to print out any cards at all.
Yeah,
And
that is kind of cool.
so if you follow this at all, let's just say I could go in right now to this. I'm going to play 75. I'm going to play the Reds and the Dodgers 75. So I'm going to load the Reds in. I'm going to put in my batting order, and I'm going to put in my extra players. Save it. I'm going to put the Dodgers in. Here's my batting order. My extra save it. Go over here. Print the score sheet out. Reds at Dodgers. Here's my starting pitcher for each team. Prints a PDF. You print it out. You have it right here in front of you, and you don't need to print anything else out. And all the ratings are on there. It's fantastic. It's a genius way to do a PDF. So you don't have to print. I printed out the 1980 season, and I realized I didn't need to. All I needed to do was print out the sheet with the batting order that's in the software.
Yeah.
And it's a $10 game. And you get all the seasons back to the 1800s. So you can play any game you want, and the software prints out the batting order. It's very simple. It's very similar to like an app of baseball, whereas it tells you how many bases the guys get, and it's a. And again, we talked about a basic game, and was it Kurt Berglund, I think, had played the crap out of this game.
Yeah, he loves it.
And he logged in all of his stats and went over and stuff I couldn't follow, but he's just like, I just felt like I was watching a crime scene where he's got the yarn on the wall and he's like connecting the pictures. It's just like, is this CSI Miami or something like that? And but at the end of the day, he said that the stats were fine for a game like this where people are like, well, it's not as in deep. He said, I've played so many games in this, and here's my final outcome. I was like, this is fine. I did not get anything crazy, So yeah. See, only hockey does the PDS. Football is just a 16 really. Oh, see that's what stinks. It's I want to play those old teams, and there's a lot of teams that I'll never get to play for that. Strat sells old hockey. They do give the other teams a print, but not the football. Oh, I think I just posted that one. I'm sorry. PJet here. Hated the 16 hockey sets. The PDFs don't even look like. Yeah, they are different. Yeah, they are a little bit different. I'll give them that. And what else do you say here? They come with Strat football because of the two-sided cards. Oh, okay. That would make sense. Yeah, two-sided cards I can see. I really can. Jeffrey, thanks for stopping by here. Wargaming does the pre-order thing for their games. It takes a while for the games to come out. I think that's the way to go. I really do. I mean, like I say, I have all those Apple Hockey. The reason why I get into Apple Hockey is because they had all the seasons available. If Apple Hockey was like Strat, well, they only had a couple of seasons from the 70s and maybe one from the 80s that I could buy, I don't think I ever would have bought it because I don't want to ever get involved in a game that I can't play seasons that I want to play. Do you feel like that at all when you find a game that you want to play some certain seasons?
Oh yeah, there's definitely seasons I remember when I was growing up. Great seasons that I really enjoyed. A lot of the 80s. A lot of the 80s I love in the baseball, and really in all of them. But the baseball is what I play the most. And yeah, there's always those teams in the 80s or maybe in the late 70s that you remember fondly, and you want to make sure that they have that season if you're going to invest the time.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I mean, because if there was this hockey game that I played that was just the best hockey game, but it only had like the modern season or something like that, why do I want to play a game that I'm going to absolutely love and not be able to play a season that I want to play? So for me, when I went to Apple, they have all these seasons. I will find a way to make this game work because I can play all my favorite seasons,
Yeah. It's interesting. A lot of the people in our community, the replay community, you don't see a lot of people doing recent seasons. It's always like in the past.
That's a good point.
You don't see 2020, or you don't see somebody doing 2018 or 2015. You just don't see a lot of that. It's always the 70s, the 80s, maybe some of the 90s.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, you don't see a lot of those. Once in a while you do. Bernard says, I like the PDS, just print out the teams I play and saves for the rest. I can't. I'm a I'm obsessive compulsive. I have to print them all out. I do. All right. But we're gonna be wrapping up here shortly, but I want to get to your channel now. So again, Sportsman Z over on YouTube. If you haven't head over there, go over there and subscribe to Sportsman Z, and tell us what you do on that channel over there.
I do a lot of baseball, a lot of baseball. I'll do Stratomatic baseball, card and dice. I do out of the park baseball on the computer. I do back to basics baseball, and then football. I do Stratomatic card and dice, and I do the computer.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, I have and I just said this, and actually it's not true, but I've got a card and dice football game coming out on Tuesday between the 2020 Saints and the 2020 Atlanta Falcons. So I do that, and then I also do current events, things that are going on in sports. I talk about real things that are going on. I put up a video recently about a couple of players that the White Sox have signed. So it's a little bit of it's a lot of replay gaming and a little bit of current events within the sports world.
Now you don't go live. You record and post, right?
Right.
Okay. What are some of the fun things that you enjoy about doing your videos, and what are some of the not so fun things?
Well, I mean, usually playing the game is fun. That's what in fact, one thing that really makes me happy about the fact that I've got this channel now is that it gives me an outlet to be able to play the games, because before I might play them once in a while, but there was no real end game. There was no real reason to play them, just except to just play them. But having the channel gives it kind of a purpose, so I like that. But yeah, it's playing the games. Some of the video work, though, getting it up on the site, like the card and dice football, takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time even to play the game, but then it takes a lot of time uploading and downloading and putting on the, editing it, going through and getting out all the dead time and things that you want to take out of the video, and then uploading it, the finished product, to YouTube takes an awful long time, and that can get kind of to be like a little bit of a chore.
Right.
But playing the games is great. That's the part I love about
Do you find that when you're doing your videos, as much as you're enjoying the game, you're still performing. You're still putting on a
it. Yeah,
show for people,
yeah,
and a lot of times I'll lose my place because I'll be so concentrating on how things look and the whole bit that, oh man, did I roll the dice for this or not? Did I take this shot? Did
yeah,
this? There's a lot of things people don't realize that when you're it. Who was it? Was Steve Tower, I think it was, that said that once you click the camera on to either go live or to record, you you
hmm
you lose you lose brain points. I forget what he called it. Your IQ. You lose
yeah,
20 IQ points once the camera goes on, because things that normally you fly right through, you sit there and you're like, oh my god,
yeah,
because the camera's on and you think about it, and you're getting distracted because you want everything to look good and you want to play it right, that
hmm
you run into these pitfalls,
yeah. Definitely, that is true. I
but
can agree with that.
but there is a lot of enjoyment with that. And D. Scott Howard said he just popped by and subbed, so that's good. Math kids, he likes OOTP. He's addicted.
Yeah,
I have a hard time with that because, like I said, I don't like the management games because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I love the franchise hockey manager game. There's fun to I always say there's fun to be had in that game, but for me, I only play about this much of the game because I can't figure out. I guess it's like sitting in a cockpit of an airplane. It's like, what does this switch do?
yeah. Well, with
Nothing.
out of the park, without of the park, I just manage. I'm just the manager, because you can be the field manager or the general manager, or you can be both. I make myself the general manager, and I let the AI general manager decide what players he's going to, because one thing that I always struggle with is the salary thing. Like I'll go out and I want to trade for somebody, and then the game will tell me I can't trade for him because he goes over my salary cap,
Yeah.
or whatever. So I don't mess with any of that. I just let the AI give me the players he wants to give me, and then I manage them on the field.
Hmm. Yeah. I just have like, I had a hard time. Like one time I played Reds and Red Sox 75 and I got Riverfront Stadium in. And the next time I couldn't figure out how to get Riverfront Stadium in the game and it drove me nuts. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So, I mean, maybe the more time I spent with it, I would get better at it, like anything else. But I just found myself to get frustrated with the management games. And again, my favorite thing to do with Franchise Hockey Manager is to release all the players and do a fantasy draft.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I just sim out a season. I don't even play them. I just sim the season, see how my team does, and I usually get clobbered. But I have fun doing stuff like that. It's like a big sandbox for me is when I do that. But to try to,
I like with the Franchise Hockey Manager 7, I like the fact that they show the entire ice. They have the
yeah,
players going back and forth up and down the ice. Because before that, they would just show like one end
yeah,
of the ice
yeah,
and the players. And it was a lot. Once I saw that, because I had 6, I was like, all right, this is okay. But once I saw that 7 had showed the entire ice surface with the team logo in the middle,
yeah.
like, okay, I'm getting 7.
I haven't got 8 yet. I still have 7. Eight's the new one. I don't have it yet. They made some strides with the chalkboard, and I don't know if you saw Al Red Sox fan. He actually had a mod that someone helped him get, that there were little guys running around the ice instead of just blocks.
No, no, I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. And I
That's
looked at that. I was
great.
like, oh, I need to check that
That's
out.
better than the boxes for sure.
Yeah, he said, and they each team had their own little colors of the guys out there and uniforms. And he said it really, really made the game look great, but it was a homebrew mod, and somebody walked him through it, and he's like, I don't know if I could walk anybody through it because it was really difficult. But you've got to put stuff in a certain folder and this and that. But
Mhm.
so it must have just replaced the graphics of that what were on there. But it looked fantastic. So I'm kind of hoping they take that to the next level in Franchise Hockey Manager 9, because the chalkboard is a great innovation for them, but it's not ready for prime time yet, and they know it. And we had Jeff on from Franchise Hockey Manager when he talked
Mhm.
about 7 that was out at the time. And he was
Mhm.
saying that, that they're always going to try to make it better. Like the baseball game graphics are fantastic. He says that's what they're going for with hockey. It's just going to take that, because baseball didn't get those graphics on day one,
Right.
and it's a lot smaller team working on the hockey than there is baseball too, when it comes to the Franchise Hockey Manager. Let's see here. Jeff says old sets take us back to a time where I really loved the games. Yep. Yep. That
Yeah.
is it. And Joel wants to know about why you stick to Strat Basic Baseball when you play cards and dice.
Just it's quicker, it's easier. I don't have to think, is this a right-handed pitcher versus a left-handed batter? I don't have to worry about symbols after a lot of the readings. I just look at it, say, on the front of the card, single. It's just quicker and easier. And that's how I started playing, and I just never really took to the advanced version.
And I think I've asked you this before. When you're playing a basic game, whether it's hockey, baseball, or football, whatever,
Mhm.
do you ever get the itch to play the advanced, because maybe you want to see, geez, I want to see if this game is more fun, is more real if I add the advanced rules.
I would say no, because I have done it. I have played the advanced game, and I every the few times that I've done it, I've come away saying I didn't really get any more out of that than I would out of the basic game.
That's what I was going to ask. 'Cause I talk with Ron about that all the time, and he's like, Dave, you should play this game here. Don't worry about this game here. And I know this seems like a simpler game than this, but what you got, I mean, the time you're going to spend trying to figure out this game, which is more complex, is time you're not going to be having fun playing this game that's more basic. And it makes a good point. There's the fun factor that comes into play that we talk
Right,
about. And if
right.
it's too difficult and you're constantly flicking through charts and trying to discern what's happening,
Hmm.
it's really not as much fun. So I agree with you on that. Dominic, Good to see you, Dominic. Here, I'm like you, Dave. Homebrew rules are great to speed up a game. Speed a game to roll a D20 for injuries in Apple football. If it's 1 to 20, it's a big injury. It's a time saver. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I've really modded up the Apple hockey, and it hasn't wrecked the game that I can tell. It's added to it, and I enjoy it. And I actually created my own rare play chart that I haven't finished yet, but I haven't play tested it yet. But that's going to be a time saver too. Is they got this ridiculous rare play chart, and some of the rare play charts, it's like lose puck to the left wing. Well, it's supposed to be a rare play. I took all my time to flip through the book of the chart and roll my dice to get the number, and I lose it to the left wing. You could have just told me that in the game.
Right. Right.
So, give me a rare play. So I come up with like an 11 to 66 rare plays. I think it's injuries, penalties, scoring chances, possible goals, and one other crazy thing there. But it's just that's all you need for rare plays. You don't. I want it to be a rare play. I don't want it to be
losing the puck to the left wing isn't really a rare play.
Yeah. It's not. It's not. SSG Jamie, OOTP. OOTP is my game version of Charlie Brown kicking the football. I try it all the time and bounce off it. I think that when I used to play that, the more time I spent with it, the better I got. And like any game here, but so I jump in like every few months and I'm lost. And I set up a fictional season. I had Ron as my pitcher, my relief pitcher, so I could bring him in. And I just set up a 6 or 8 team league. I just was playing around with that, and it was fun setting up. Have you ever done that? And have you set up a fictional season and designed all your ballparks and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I've done versions of that before. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. You make yourself, you make your friends, put them on different teams. I've done that with Strat. I've done that with the Strat PC game. Make my own card, make cards with my friends, and put them on teams. Yeah.
I think didn't you just do a video about creating a player in Strat?
Yeah. That's yep. There is a video like that on my site. Yeah.
And now, so what do you got? You obviously put in the name. What do you just put in stats, or can you how do you get the card to come out?
Well, I mean, I guess you would have to because you do put the statistics in, but you would have to try to figure out based on your knowledge of the Stratomatic cards about what the card might look like. Okay. And you have to follow the general rules that they have, like a pitcher's card has a ground ball X and a fly ball X to at least one to every player on the diamond. So you just know the general rules, and then you figure out, okay, if I walked a lot of guys, I'll put some more walks on my card, and you try to figure out what their card might look like, or you model it after somebody that you think your friend or you were a lot like, and then just retype their card in.
Okay, that's good. A couple more comments here before we wrap. If you got any more questions here for myself or Sportsman Z, get those in. We're going to be wrapping up here shortly. D. Scott Howard says, I use OOT play to replay seasons with historic lineups. No management required for that. Yes, it is. P-Jet always played solo strat baseball basic with OF and C throwing.
Catcher throwing arms.
Yeah, that's the one thing I miss when I play some of the basic baseball games, is that stealing can be kind of generic, and so the catcher doesn't matter. And that's the thing about when I always think about that when I play a basic game, or whatever kind of hockey, football, baseball, is that sometimes, like I say, the catcher X or the goalie X, it doesn't matter who is in that position because it's kind of a generic rating. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like I say, if you got a catcher that's throwing guys out left and right, you want to bring that into the game. You really do. Yeah. So PJ makes a good point. And Joel says he doesn't like the Strat baseball rare plays. Some of them are okay. I think I had one bounce off the mound the other day and did something or other. So that's that. P-Jet, he made Strat baseball cards on a manual typewriter in the early 70s. P-Jet, you still use a manual typewriter. What are you talking about here? He's still over there pounding away in the old Remington. You know what I mean? I can fit.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I made my own cards. I didn't do it on a typewriter, but I would hand write them.
Yeah,
I did that.
They actually sell a keyboard that's a typewriter that connects to a computer. and you gotta. It's like it's more of a novelty, but I could see some old timers plugging away on that up in the press box. You know what I mean? And he got a kick out of that. Anyway, great show. So, all right, we're gonna wrap things up here. So, my guest tonight was Sportsman Z. Check out his YouTube channel, Sportsman Z. He does a lot of baseball stuff. He's got a good mix of cards and dice and PC, and he does a really good mix of that. And every now and then he does a tutorial on something or other that he's working on, and he shows that off. Sometimes he just plays a game. I like when you do the cards and dice. You have a nice setup, as we call it. Whereas it's visually pleasing to look at. Whereas cards and dice are so difficult for videos. Because you want to show the cards, but you got to get real close. And if you're too close, then you can't see anything else. So it's like, where is the sweet spot? What do you want to show? So I've kind of settled on you can see the cards. You probably can't really read them because the type is so small.
No.
But I like what you do. I like to have a baseball diamond or a football field so you know who's on base. In football, where the ball is, or even in hockey. I love my Apple hockey setup where I can show where the puck is and who has the puck.
Right.
So you have some kind of visual representation of what's going on.
Yeah, and that was one of my comments to the Replay Gamer, I guess, when he was just starting out his channel, and he would just like have the score sheet where he wrote down what was going on. Yeah. There he is. And one of my recommendations to him was that he have like have a little baseball diamond out and markers at least for the base runners so that people can see who's on base, how many are on base. So yeah.
What I started to do was use Replay PC Baseball. And they have, like I say, I put my stats into there. But they have all the visuals. In fact, they even have the cards on the screen. Now it's the Replay baseball cards, but you can still see who's pitching and who's batting. And then I'll play Appa or I'll play, pocket pennant run or whatever I'm playing. And he hits a double. Then I click double and you see that guy go to second base. So that you do get a visual representation. That is a really great thing about the PC Replay baseball. I will try that with Strat at some point. I will play a game of Appa and log it into Strat just to cross the streams in the unholy alliance, whatever you want to call that. But Strat allows you to do that. And the other thing that Replay Game has done is he'll crop the scoreboard. And here's a little trick. I'm going to give away a secret here. I'm going to be using PC Replay Baseball, and I'm going to use it, and I'm just going to save the scoreboard. Right, that's all you're going to see. But I'm gonna play a season that I don't have, but I'm just gonna be using it for the scoreboard. So if I play Baltimore, Cincinnati, or whatever it is, I don't necessarily need to own the season. I just have to have the teams because I'm not showing anything but the scoreboard. So you'll see Baltimore, Cincinnati, and if I'm playing and it's Tom Seaver on the mound and it's Joe Jones pitching on, you'll never see that. You'll never see it. All you're going to see is the scoreboard, which is the score, the innings, and the outs. And that's all you need. That's how, and I'll have my baseball diamond here, my diamond here. You've seen this thing. This thing is gorgeous, by the way. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. So I will use that, and I'll put my guys on base. So that'll be the representation, but I'll steal the scoreboard from Replay PC because, again, that's all you're going to see is that. So that's my little cheat for the day is, if you're just going to use the scoreboard, just set up two teams, and no one ever is the wiser for who you're playing. Right. But that's that. The phrase. Thank you for coming by, Jeffrey. Again, thank you for coming by, P-Jet. Your fingers must be sore, P-Jet, from typing away in that old Remington there. I can picture him with a hat and the little press badge in the top of the hat here. I can picture that, kind of like Curly from the Three Stooges. Jeff, thank you so much. DJ, thanks for coming by. Jim, thank you so much. 35 Productions. Thanks for coming by. 35 Productions is going to be coming up with a new podcast as well. And I think he got the Roadcaster Pro too. So, and he said, I'm getting my wish, Brady and the Creamsicle. Yeah, 35. Early in the show, people have been posting about how Brady's coming out of retirement. So we'll see. I got to go. I got to go get my news of the day and see what that is, and see what the whole Brady news is. So what do you think about that? Brady coming back, good or bad? What do you think?
I think it's good. I think it's good for the NFL. It's good for football. If he can play, more power to him.
I think one more year. I think he could still play at a high level.
Mhm.
I don't think he'll be the best quarterback, but I think he could play one more year. I think if he tried to go beyond next year, I think it would be a little bit much because I think he is starting to
Yeah.
show somewhere. But he just takes such good care. He takes as good care of his body as I do. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
I mean, kidding, of course. Dominic, thank you so much. At Midlife Crisis, thank you so much. And again, thanks to Sportsman Z for coming by on a Sunday night and spending some time with us. And again,
Loved it.
please head over to his channel and check it out. So, Sportsman Z, hang on one second. We're going to sign off, but we have some parting gifts for you. We don't.
Oh,
But
okay.
I like to say that though. It sounds like a game show. And 35 Productions, I'll get a hold of you in a few minutes after I sign off here. But again, Sportsman Z, check out his channel and thanks for coming by.
Yeah. Thanks.